I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Late night preview night, Sunday. West Ham are going to Derby tomorrow to face Derby County in an FA Cup game. To my right is Clive. You know who he is. Clive, how are you? And what are you expecting tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I always struggle when it comes to facing the lower league oppositions, especially when it comes to the Cups. I think we've got a very checkered past, especially in recent years, especially against third-tier teams. So I think it's going to be a tough one. We've always got to also remember that, you know, Derby are in more of a positive mind frame. You know, they've already had their really bad time in the last couple of years. But the results recently, considering everything they've gone through and having to get rid of the players they've had to get rid of and sort of, you know, use their academy and whatnot, it's been impressive. And they're really up for the fight towards getting back into the Championship. So I think they've got nothing to lose. For them, this cup or winning this round is important for them because they need the money. You know, I think there's more for them on offer than, say, for West Ham, especially with the negativity surrounding West Ham currently. Yeah,
totally agree. Here's a question for you, Clive.
Yes.
How will West Ham approach Derby? How do you see West Ham setting up in a way to beat this team on Monday?
I think, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be 5 at the back. I do think there'll be, you know, you'll have Cresswell and probably Soufal, I reckon, being the wing backs. Such. I think we'll have 5 at the back to sort of not necessarily counter, but I think just sort of apply any pressure when they are on the attack. I kind of feel like Derby will be trying to attack us. We will try and go for the counter and or utilize the sort of wing backs to sort of come forward. I think really our formation will be down to who's going to be up front, because I don't think Scamacca will be back for this game. I think it will be Antonio that will be up top in his own. So I would anticipate 5 at the back. I'd say obviously Bowen on the right wing. Left wing, I've got a weird feeling is going to be Fornals. And Benny will be on the bench, which I know half the fans will not be happy about. But I think Paqueta will go back to his normal position. You'll have Rice and Souček in the defensive area.
If we set up 5 at the back tomorrow, mate, then I ain't going to be happy. I want to see West Ham attack this team. They're a League One side. No disrespect to Derby. Derby have always been a big team, very big team up there in the East Midlands, I think it is. And for me, West Ham need to go up there and impose themselves as a Premier League side and strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. Do you know what I'm saying? With no Zuma there, I don't think it works. I think if you go and put Ben Johnson at centre half or Cresswell at centre half, you're covering a space basically. When really you should just take him out, put another midfielder in, and go 4-3-3. Do you know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, for me, I'm not keen on that at 5 at the back, but let's get into it with your starting 11, mate. As that car just roars past and ruins my strength. Thank you very much. Start 11, Clive, for you, mate, tomorrow night.
I'm hoping Areola's going to start, but I think if the rumours are as true as they seem, I would anticipate that Fabianski's actually going to be starting tomorrow night, if I'm brutally honest. So I'd say Fabianski in goal. As I've already mentioned, I think Soufal will take the right wing back area, Cresswell on the left wing back. I think central defensive 3 is actually going to be Kera, Johnson, and Ogbonna is my anticipated back 5, along with the others. I think Souček, Rice, and as that takes. So then it takes you to what? Bowen, Antonio, potentially his last game. And if Everton really do want to go for him, and I think Fornals will take the left wing. area. So yeah, I don't think it will be much different to the team that you usually see on a standard weekend, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's going to be the standard sort of what we expect.
I agree. I don't agree with your team, but for me, I want to see West Ham attack this team 4-3-3. All right, let's go. All right, let's have a go. I want to see Flynn Downs in this team. That's one thing I will say. That's the first man I want to see in this team come Monday. Fornells has to be in this team for me. I don't understand why he's sitting on the bench, and I'm not his biggest fan, Pablo Fornells, but he's should be sitting on the bench. Ariola in goal for me. Right back's an interesting one. Personally, I'd go with Cafal. I think Cafal's been better than all of them this year. A Bonner and a Gued, two centre halves. Left back, I would play Emerson. I think Emerson's been not too bad. I think people either like him or hate him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's as simple as that with him, yeah.
His last game, so
yeah, I wouldn't play Paqueta in this game. Really, I don't think you need to. I think you can have him on the bench. I would play Rice, Downs, and then probably Fornells as a three-man attack, and then up front it picks itself: Ben Rama, Bowen, and Antonio, because we've got no one else. So, like, West Ham need to change it up. I can't be seeing through at the back against Derby County because I just don't see where the progression is. Like, you're set up in a way that's so stubborn, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's true. I think just looking at the comments, see what Sadadi is saying. I think, do you know what? Games like this, I'd like to see people like Lanzini back in the team.
Possibly,
we haven't seen them in quite a while, but I don't see us utilising more of our sort of backbenching players, which is the frustration that we have with Moyes, right? So I think this is where it's a tough one. I think the good thing is by playing our strongest team, you would like to think there's going to be a bit of confidence, but we didn't really see that uplift of confidence after we beat Brentford in the last 9 minutes in the last cup round. The next league game we had after that, I didn't really see much change. And then obviously we've then since had the Everton game. But I think, I think it's going to be a tough one. I don't think this team knows how to play this setup that is being required or requested of them.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you 100%. For me, when I look at that lineup tomorrow, I just want to see a lineup that screams attack rather than sit there and try and play a possession-based game that West Ham just don't know how to play, really. West Ham try and play this, but it's like we just don't know how to play it properly. Do you know what I'm saying? We haven't got the personnel to do it properly, in my opinion. So, yeah, like tomorrow night, the starting 11 has got to be pucker and bang on.
Yeah, but I can see him using this game perhaps. Like the reason I say the five at the back is because if he wants to do this possession-based game, you're better doing it against teams like Derby than doing it in the Premier League when we're in such a precarious situation at the moment. Yeah,
I think I understand that. I do, but this is a chance to get to the quarterfinals of the cup. I think it is. West Ham need to go there and go through this team. I need to see something different from Moyes. Like, I see it all the time. I'll get that off a minute. But I see it all the time from people, and I need to see a different reaction from Moyes. Like, when Moyes is playing these lower-end teams, he done it against Kidderminster Harriers this time last year, and we nearly went out. Do you know what I'm saying? So I want to see something more in this game, right? This is a possible banana skin, big time. So all the lads have just got to be on it. All of them, like not just like 5, 6 of them, every single one of them, and we've got to get the job done up there, in my opinion, 100%.
100%.
Let's move to your predictions. What are you saying for tomorrow night?
I'm going to say 2-1. Obviously, we're playing at Derby County's ground, so I think the crowd are going to be up for it. Especially, as I say, the last couple of years have been quite turbulent for Derby. So I think the crowd are going to be proper up for it. It is a Monday night kickoff, so it is a late game. So I think the fans are really going to be up for it, but I'm hoping there are not going to be any surprises on Monday night. And I think we hopefully should get a nice little 2-1 win.
I think West Ham will get through this game. I am going to say 2-0. I think West Ham will impose themselves in a way that I've not seen before. Like, I think if we set up 3 at the back, I'm nervous. because then we're just waiting to concede, basically. Like, we're waiting. If West Ham set up 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, I fancy us all day, because then we're on the we're going to be attacking them. I think Ben Rama likes to score against Derby. He's got good memories of Derby when he was at Brentford. Scored a goal or two there. So, yeah, I fancy us tomorrow. I do, right? But I want to see something more from West Ham. It's one thing I will say on that. Do you know what I mean? This game really is a marker for the Newcastle game the following Saturday. Like, for me, we've got to be on it.
That is the thing. And I think there's... have Newcastle played this weekend, or are they out the cup? I can't even remember.
They're at the cup. Lawrence, thank you very much for your $4.99 sticker, mate. Go on, Clive,
they're
carry on.
out the cup, so of course, like, you know, not only are we playing on a Monday night, only giving the team really 5 days until the next game. You know, Newcastle have been off for 2 weeks at this point. So, you know, I think momentum, providing that we have a strong win, could fall in our favour. But at the same time, will we see tired legs affecting that sort of game is my other concern, I guess, at the same time.
I agree. So, yeah, that's my prediction on that. 2-1. 2-1 is Clive's, 2-0 is me. Now, I'm going to get to this final sort of topic of conversation, and it's been mentioned today on Twitter, and it's this man, Mr. Harrison Ashby. How do you feel about this? Because I'm not happy at all. £3 million for this man. Looks like a good deal because he's injury prone, right? But this geezer's a talent, and we've let a geezer just walk out the door. Yeah,
I think 3 million, considering obviously at a tribunal, I don't think we would have got 3 million. I do think we would have got less. I think getting 3 million for him is a good deal in the sense of based off what was left on the contract. Am I happy about the situation? No, of course not. I do have concerns. I don't necessarily think this is an ownership problem, this one, because I know that they tried to sign up a new contract for him. The problem is, what were the guarantees? Now, we know that Moyes hasn't really utilised youth in the team, or the club rather. Right. And I do believe that the issue there is future opportunity at first team football. If you look at the current first 11, obviously we've got 2 academy graduates there. We've got Ben Johnson, who got his first start under Manuel Pellegrini. Yeah. Albeit, yes, I know, before someone points out he was in a match day squad under Moyes the season before. I am fully aware, but he never played. You know, match day squad or not, it's not quite the same as getting your first start or first opportunity. We also know the Rice situation as well, first start, etc. So, you know, basically Moyes hasn't brought anyone straight in from the academy, or if he has, it's 1 or 2 games and they're out the door. So I think that's where the issue is, because when I look at it, I'm like, where's Ashby going to fit straight away in that starting 11 for Newcastle? Not right now, not this season, maybe a couple of games next season, but it's that guarantee in the next season or the season after. And I think it's that long-term or sort of medium to short-term aspects that he's looking at. And clearly that's not what was offered in the contract that was put on the table by West Ham.
I totally agree. I think West Ham treated him like a youth player when this geezer is something else. Do you know what I mean? I see a comment here from Sadadi, and I totally disagree with him. He says, I'm massively overrated. Wasn't impressed with him in the 2 games I saw him this season. I totally disagree on that. I followed this kid for a long time. I watched him over Dagenham and Redbridge for a long time as he was growing up. And he was in that team, decent player. We've let a good one go. And he's the one that, listen, if someone said to me 6 months ago, out of all the youth players that you've got, which one do you least want to lose? It'd be him. Yeah. And we've just let him walk out the door for nothing, really.
Yeah, I think the one good thing about the sale is that I have seen there has been a clause inserted of future transfer, that we get the transfer fee. Don't know what the percentage is. I would assume it's probably 10% of future transfer fee if he was to be sold. So, you know, there could be an income of influx of money in the future sold by Newcastle. But also if he turns into a flop, won't be a lot of money for West Ham point of view. But I think if he was overrated, he wouldn't be going to another Premier League team, especially a Premier League team that is on the up rather than down in trajectory. So I think on that basis. A lot of players, they can come through the academy and whatnot. There's only a handful of them that will end up staying in the Premier League or having a very luxurious career in the Premier League. But I think he will be a mainstay, whether he ends up in the sort of top 6 going forward in a few years' time, or whether he's just like sort of bouncing around clubs. It's always a hard one to say, because he hasn't played that many games in sort of the adult league versus, say, the under 21s and the rest of the sort of academy leagues that exist. It's a very, very different physicality to the games.
See, I look at it like this, yeah. Even Lawrence brings it up brilliantly here, yeah. We continue to lose our young talent because they're never getting time with the top clubs. Look at Perkins. Now, I understand a lot of this, right? I look at all these players going because they want to play games, yeah. Probably West Ham can't guarantee them that, yeah. But then I do look at some of the men that are in the starting 11, in the starting squad, and they shouldn't even be here. Like, certain men should not be in this team. Like, I use this as a prime example here, and tell me if you agree or disagree. But Ben Johnson, for me, Harrison Ashby's a better player. He's a better going forward. He's a better crosser. Defensively, Ben's a bit better. I'd say that. But other than that, that's it. Like,
yeah.
But I don't understand it. I just don't understand.
So it's a funny one. I do agree with what you've said there, because as far as I've always said Ben Johnson needs to go out on loan, if anything, rather than him, because I think loaning gives, and that's what we should also be doing with Ashby and everyone else, being like, look, we'll give you a few games in January onwards. We'll sort of loan you out the second half of the season just to get that experience, because we feel in the first half of the season you might have done this or you might have done that, especially when we've had Europe games, like we've had the Europa Conference. Like, we could have played these academy graduates in a few of those games, especially when we qualified so early in the group stages, and gone, okay, well, this, they go through what they did at the games afterwards, they go through the tapes, this is where you're failing, this is what you're not doing, we're going to send you out on loan in January to do this, this, and this, and to learn and progress. But we don't do those sort of things, which is very frustrating. But for me, I've been saying this for quite a while with Ben Johnson. He's too slow in the sense of his thinking style. So I remember against Frankfurt watching him intensely, actually, and I noticed every time the ball was coming towards him, the player that's attacking him is a second ahead of him, and it's before he then goes and switches on, and then he's going for the movement he needs to go for, albeit the correct movement, but he's a second delayed, and that big second, it's a huge amount of time, even though it doesn't seem it. And I think Johnson he has the ability to learn it, but he needs to go and learn to learn it. And he goes on loan, he's never going to learn it. The problem is we're now down to just 2 right backs, and you can't even put Johnson on loan. So this puts us back to square one. Do you then play Johnson, who could then make those mistakes, and then those mistakes could now lead us to a relegation? Do you then play Soufal, who hasn't had the best season, but we shouldn't expect too much from him? Let's bear in mind what his transfer fee was, and he is still our starting player. So, it's a tough one. It is, but it's no fault of the owner of Ben Johnson. But unfortunately, he had established a bit of a first team reputation by the time Moyes had returned. And we know how Moyes picks. It's based on what he knows, and he doesn't change. So
yeah, I agree. I think this stubborn approach from Moyes is borderline shocking. I just want to get through a couple of comments because there's some good comments here. First one is this one. Tariq Lamptey from Brighton should be getting looked at. After his performance today, I thought he was excellent for Brighton against Liverpool. I've always liked that kid. Do you know what I mean? 100%. It's just a pipe dream at the minute. Jay Wood says this, I saw we have a link with Fedinho, CDM from Seville, 34 years old. So much for the Red Bull model. And Samsey says this, Moyes and his Red Bull model is the biggest lie ever told. Totally agree with every single one of them comments so far. I could say Kafal has played well in the last several games. Kafal's done all right. I'll be honest with you. I wanted Kafal out. Yeah. But he's done all right.
I'd say the last several, I was about to say handful, but even more than that he's really upped his game again. He's been playing very, very well. Just quickly on Tariq Lamptey, I've seen that Brighton now will not accept any loans and will only accept a guaranteed purchase now from now, which I find it interesting that they want to sell him, to be honest, because he is a good player. But obviously, I think that would impact West Ham. I think if we bring in any more players between now and the end of the transfer window, it will be a loan and not a outright purchase.
And as you mentioned, the transfer window. Let's get on to that to wrap this up. For me, I'm worried big time on this. I always have been with this window because I just know West Ham. I know what they're like. We're going to sign Danny Ings, and we haven't really looked at any other positions, and we need players at this club. And if we don't replace Dawson, does that really put us in jeopardy for going down this year?
Yeah, I actually do think it does. I know in my previous appearance on here, I did say, "Oh, do we actually need to sign anyone else?" But already seeing that Zuma is injured, already seeing and thinking about the fact that Ogbonna is 34 here, like we can't be relying on him playing 90 minutes. It's not even
season.
Well, it's not even 90 minutes a week. We've got to think long term here. So even if we don't get through in the FA Cup, March is only around the corner. We're already basically on February here, and in March we'll be playing Thursday, Sunday. So I think when you're looking at that aspect, I think we need to bring the player in. The problem is obviously we want to make sure they're not going to be cup tied for the Europa Conference, but also, I'm concerned because Zuma's already injured. We've got a lot going on that needs to get sorted. I think the one thing I will say about this transfer window, I do expect Antonio to leave by the end of the window.
Yeah.
And I actually think he's going to force the move because going from what Moyes had said the other day, it was very much, well, Antonio's just talking where he's talking. We want to see him thrive. So I'm beginning to think that all this talk, even though Antonio's trying to come across as, I'd be upset if I was leaving because I've spent 8.5 years. It's very much like the talk is only coming from you and no one else. So you got to beg the question of, well, actually, are you causing the rumors here? Because by the sounds of Moyes, it doesn't sound like he wants you to go. So what is the situation?
Yeah, I know. I'm fucking worried, mate. I'm not even going to lie to you, right? I'm just seeing the comments. People are sort of flooding in now because obviously another channel's been doing their thing. But for me, I'm shit scared worried on this. And anyone who's not worried needs to start worrying, because if it comes to Tuesday night and we've still got the same team as we've got tonight, then even with Antonio in this team, it ain't enough. You take Antonio out of this team, it's definitely not enough. Like, West Ham need to go out and go and rapid and go and get 2 or 3 players. Do you know what I mean? And give us something to cheer about. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But the problem is,
sorry. The problem with leaving it so late is you end up with rush transfers, and it's like,
exactly,
the right ones. Are they going to end up being with deals that were unnecessary? Where there's the obligation that you have to purchase after a loan instead of we get the option. All these errors that can happen, especially when they're rushed, is very frustrating. I know that both the owners and Moyes are not big fans of the January transfer window because they see it as January's more of a purchasing players for the sake of it thing, rather than players that sort of is what they need. But I think that mind frame needs to go, because at the end of the day, we're in the position we're in, for one. And secondly, look at all of the teams around us. They've all strengthened up. And the most recent one to strengthen up now is Leicester City. I don't know if you saw, but they've got a 6-month loan with Tete, I believe his name is. And he's
from Lyon.
Yep. Direct from Lyon. Lyon's second half of the season loan has been cancelled. And he's allowed to play for Leicester because obviously the Ukrainian war, and he's a foreign player, so he's allowed to sign for any other clubs. And he's done very well in the first half of the season at Ligue 1. I think he's got something like 10 goals and 6 assists or something mad like that. Very, very good, and he's a rapid player. So, and
even McKennie. McKennie going to Leeds. Like, I'm looking at him. I'm thinking, wow, he's just going to Leeds. Like, we've got a problem at West Ham. That's one thing I will say. There is a major problem in regards to transfers. Right? Can I see anything getting done tomorrow night? I can't really, if I'm being honest. Right? So it could get done, but it's very unlikely on match day. West Ham are playing on a match day that stuff are getting done. Right? It's not impossible, but it's
game. If the owner's at the game, nothing's going to get done.
exactly right. So you know that, right? The problem is, come Tuesday, West Ham are scrambling around. I actually think West Ham ain't going for no one. I think this is what I personally think. I think Anang, I think it is,
Yes,
has had his loan from Derby back to West Ham. Yeah, so Anang's our third choice goalkeeper. That's the first thing. So that covers Randolph. I think Dawson leaving doesn't make us go up or down. I think they've already looked at it and gone, well, Kera can cover all of the back line, when needed. And it's like you're putting square pegs in round holes yet again. Like,
this is exactly why when Dawson went, I said, I don't think they need to make another defensive signing, taking out all of the injuries, but it was more on the basis of if West Ham wanted to make that signing, they should have either in the summer when Dawson wanted to leave, because Dawson almost did leave back in August. It just fell through at the last minute because it had all been done too late, too rushed, and the paper wouldn't have been done in time. So, or the medical in actual fact. So they always knew he was going to leave in January. So it was always an aspect of, okay, cool. Well, who do we want to sign when the January window opens? Oh, no one, because we've already done that in the summer, or no one because we've got this depth. And clearly that's how they've already seen it, because all of the players that we've actually been linked to have been attacking players, if I'm not mistaken anyway. So that suggests to me that there is no direction of signing a defensive player.
I agree with this comment. I know. Absolutely spot on. Sort of round it up. Any player in their right mind wouldn't sign for us with Moyes in charge. Let's be honest. Let's be honest right now, yeah? Any player that's looking at coming to West Ham, they don't know whether Moyes is going to be the manager in the next 2 or 3 games. As simple as that. So, it's a major problem.
Yeah. I think that is a huge difficulty for West Ham at the moment is, that agents always want a guarantee of certain things. I know agents always want their fees as well, but ultimately their players are their clients and they want to make sure the best for them. And to attract a player, you need a guarantee that the style and whatnot is not going to just change like that. And I mean, look at the Danjuma situation from Everton to Spurs all of a sudden. And he's even in part that was due to the way Frank Lampard's sacking was handled. So, that's how situations can change so quickly. But ultimately now we've left it too late to say sack Moyes by the end of tomorrow night. You still then got to get the fact of you've got no manager, the window's going to close. Who's going to sign? Well, no one. So it's at this point, we're no better off by getting rid of Moyes. And I think we just got to accept that he's going to be there until at least the end of Feb. I think the only way he goes for our disastrous run of results was to begin with a loss to Derby and continue all the way through to a loss at Nottingham Forest. I think that's the only way he goes, but I wouldn't wish that on my team.
Tell you what, if Antonio ends up at Nottingham Forest and he comes back to the LS and scores against us, just that'll just do me in, mate. Just do me in.
Even if he goes to Everton, he won't face us this season. So that would be good. But if he goes to another relegation team, the battle team,
I've got a feeling he goes back to Forest. If you want me to be honest, I don't think Dyche is his sort of manager. Right, I really don't. Right,
but
do you know what I'm saying?
Rondon being sold by them, or Rondon just being made the surplus player. So I could see Antonio going there, but I think even if Antonio went to Everton, he could end up playing right wing.
I agree. Right, final question from me for you. How many players do we sign Tuesday evening on loan or permanent?
I think I'm going to be hopeful here. I don't think this is going to be the answer, but I'm going to say we sign 2, lose 1. And losing 1 is Antonio. We sign 2. I think we sign an emergency central defense. Central defense. Sorry, I'm having my mind boggled here. Because of Zuma's injury, I think potentially just to cover injuries, we'll get someone on loan, and I think we'll try and get one more attacking player. But again, I think these will both be loan signings if we do get anyone, and I think this is very unlikely. Yeah, Guendouzi is the other player I'm thinking of, to be fair. But I don't see any of these happening or going through into fruition. I think realistically the answer is 0.
Right. For me, I think we make one signing. That's a loan signing. I don't think it's a permanent. I'll be quite shocked if we go out and sign players and pay cash. I think we've done well though in the summer. I think now it's all about getting the players in. If we do sign no one, like you've just said, and some of the people, the lads in the chat have said, if we do sign no one, I'm fucking shit scared worried, mate. And that is no joke about it. Because I'm not worried about the team now. I'm worried down the stretch. Like if West Ham are in Europa League, Conference League, and Premier League Thursday, Sunday, it takes one injury to a key player, i.e. Declan, i.e. Aguerd, and we are fucked. Literally, we are doing shit.
Even add the FA Cup into it, especially when the second half of the season, usually the season will still end in May, but it ends literally on the last day of May this time round. But that we're asking the players to play essentially, I think, 4 or 5 more Premier League games. I think it's actually 5 because of the whole Queen's death.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
owning 1. So I think we're asking them to play 5 more in the back end of the season. On top of that, trying to fit in the Europa Conference, and if we do get a cup run in the FA Cup, then we've got to add that in, which then means at some point in March we could end up with 3 to 4 games in a 10 to 12 day period. That is hectic. And that would happen on more than one occasion, and assuming that there will be no replays in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Another issue. So it's coming in thick and fast. And at that point, if we don't sign anyone, I would fob off all the cups because we cannot afford a relegation.
Exactly. Totally agree, mate. I really do. Even Peter says here, where are the wins coming from? Fucking hell, Peter. I don't know either, mate. If I'm being truthfully honest, and that's why I'm concerned. Obviously, hi James. Don't sign Michael Keane. He's shit. Yeah. If we get Michael Keane, mate, I'm not going to lie. I've got to say this, but if we end up signing Michael Keane from Everton, who's played fucking, I think it's 1 or 2 appearances this season. I know he's had a few injuries, but if you sign him up to come to West Ham, then Moyes is the biggest fucking lying bastard I've ever met in my life. Like, just is, isn't he?
I take him because he's obviously tall and lanky, got a good head on him. So I take him in that sense. And like you say, he hasn't actually played that many games this season, which is kind of a good thing when he might not necessarily have the negative mentality that some of the Everton players have. So, it comes in both ways. We've got to remember we're replacing Dawson, who was only 3 million that we sold him for, and was seen as a player that we should never have gone for in the first place. And look at him now. We're all celebrating. So I think, if we do sign someone like Keane, to be honest, it might make way for the Antonio deal. Antonio goes one way, Keane comes the other.
I think they're playing with fire. I really do. Like, only having, because Skamaka's picked up a few injuries so far in his West Ham career.
Yeah. Right.
He's picked up little niggles and little things, which is keeping him out for a week or 2 or a month. Like, this is a worrying state of affairs at West Ham, but we will see about it tomorrow. Clive, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you for having me.
No worries at all, mate. Tomorrow night is going to be a busy night on E20's own TV. Me and Mitchell are doing a watch along at 7:30. So we're going to watch this game and we're going to see if West Ham can get through. West Ham don't get through, trust me. Mitch will lose it and so will I. And then after that is the after full player ratings. Me, Mitch, West Ham Online, possibly Lucas will be doing all of them, going through everything on tomorrow night's game. West Ham need to win this game tomorrow, yeah? I need to see something tomorrow different. Not the same shit that I've seen over the last sort of 4 or 5 months. I want to see West Ham go at this team, put this team to the sword, fucking destroy this team, really, because we're a Premier League side. We spent a lot of money and we should be going through Derby County, no problem. If we don't and we struggle, then you've got to look at the man at the top of the tree, and that is Mr. David Moyes. And then even further top of the tree is Mr. Sullivan, because he's the one who's pulling all the strings at this club at the minute. But we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, from me, enjoy your Sunday evening wherever you are on this planet, and I will see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.